Unique wood carving designs don't follow old rules. They break them. They twist them. They burn them down and start over. Because the goal isn't perfection. It's originality. Something you haven't seen 100 times before. Something you feel even if you don't fully understand it. The wood doesn't get carved into a shape. It gets pushed into something new. Sometimes abstract. Sometimes sculptural. Sometimes just strange in the best way possible. A slab of oak with jagged negative space carved straight through it. A pine block with organic ridges that look like fossilized waves. A panel with sharp craters, each one darkened with fire. Not pretty. Powerful. That's the core of unique wood carving. It's not afraid to go off the rails. Some artists carve with chisels. Others use grinders, chainsaws, burning irons, even Dremels running at full speed. It's not about the tool, it's about the idea. The decision to make something nobody else has made before. Even if it's not clean. Even if it's not safe. You'll see carvings that play with illusion, wood that looks like it's rippling, bending, or folding in on itself. You'll see pieces that create impossible depth, layers within layers, carved so precisely they feel like they go on forever. You might find natural textures recreated in extreme detail. Reptile skin, cracked earth, wind-blown dunes, all chiseled out of a solid block of wood. Or you might see designs that don't look like designs at all, just raw energy frozen mid-movement. Like the artist carved while blindfolded. Or while angry. Or while dreaming. Color doesn't always stay natural either. Some pieces are scorched, charred black for contrast. Others are treated with stains, inks, even metal leaf inlays. But the wood is never hidden. Even through color, the grain pushes through. That's non-negotiable. No matter how wild the carving, it's still wood. Still grounded. Still real. Some carvings get mounted on walls like modern art. Others become furniture. Carved drawer fronts, table surfaces, headboards, even staircase panels. Some become sculptures. Freestanding, tall, heavy, impossible to ignore. But all of them carry the same DNA. Nothing copied. Nothing borrowed. Nothing expected. And the process? It's slow. It's uncertain. You don't plan every cut. You feel your way through. One slip and the whole flow changes. That's the risk. But that's also the reward. Every groove you carve is a decision. A line in the sand. A mark that can't be erased. That's why these designs feel alive. Because they are. Every dent, every ridge, every spiral or cut or gouge, it's all honest. All the struggle is right there, baked into the grain. Some artists lean into geometry, sharp lines, impossible symmetry, precision cut with mathematical focus. Others go full organic, asymmetrical, messy, shifting like muscle or water. And some walk the line between both, balanced chaos. But in the end, all unique wood carving has one thing in common. You haven't seen it before. That's the only rule. If it looks like something else, it's not done. If it fits in too easily, it's not unique enough. These are the pieces that stop people in their tracks. Not because they're perfect, but because they feel real. So if you're carving, don't aim for flawless. Aim for fearless. Make the cut nobody else would. Let the wood talk back. Let it push you into directions that don't make sense at first. Because the best carvings aren't clean. They're bold, uncomfortable, raw, and absolutely unforgettable. That's what unique wood carving designs really are. Not just objects, but statements. Wood reimagined. Craft pushed past the edge. Wood has always been a storyteller. Even before the first tools touched it, even before the first human carved a symbol or etched a line into its surface, wood was already recording its own story. In its rings. In its grain. In the scars from wind, from rot, from lightning. Every plank, every branch, every slab carries with it a record of time. And when a skilled hand carves into that surface, it doesn't overwrite the story, it adds to it. A collaboration between the natural and the intentional. That's where truly unique wood carving designs come from. They're not just creative ideas. They're living artifacts. Pieces that fuse imagination with nature, precision with unpredictability. Unique carving design isn't about repeating the past. It's not about tradition or symmetry or pattern for its own sake. It's about curiosity, exploration, taking what's been done before and twisting it just enough to find something new. A fresh gesture. A form that didn't exist yesterday. The carver approaches the wood like a puzzle that hasn't revealed its shape yet. The design might not exist in a sketch, might not have a name, but it has a feeling, a direction, and the carving pulls it into form one cut at a time. Picture a slab of walnut, dark and smooth, carved into a flowing ribbon that seems to peel away from itself. The edges curl up, almost like wind-blown fabric, and the surface undulates gently, like the folds of a wave caught mid-crest. It's not a literal shape. It's not representing anything specific. But it moves. Feels like something organic and fluid and alive. That's a unique carving. Not because it's never been done before in the history of the world, but because this piece of wood, this form, this moment of creation, it's never happened quite like this. Sometimes uniqueness is born from layering. Artists might take several thin sheets of wood, birch, maple, pine, stack them tightly together, then carve into the layers, revealing rings and lines that change with every pass of the tool. The deeper the cut, the more layers exposed. The piece becomes a cross-section of movement, a topography of intention. Each level reveals new shapes. What starts as a simple block turns into a miniature canyon, a terrain of valleys and ridges that you can trace with your fingertips. Other designs are more architectural. Geometric arrangements that feel almost digital in their precision, like pixelated forms cut from solid wood. Squares, diamonds, triangles. But instead of being flat, each element is carved at a slightly different depth. One juts out, one recedes, one is angled. When light hits it, the whole surface comes alive with shadow. It looks mechanical but feels human. Every edge has been touched. Every surface tuned just slightly off balance so the piece catches your attention and refuses to sit still. Some artists turn to nature not just for material, but for structure. Carvings that echo the branching of trees, the spirals of seashells, the symmetry of leaves, but stretch those forms into abstraction. A carved panel might feature a dense cluster of leaf-like veins, but without the boundary of a leaf. The pattern seems to grow organically from the center, fading at the edges like it's still spreading, still in motion. Another might resemble a honeycomb, but irregular, broken, with gaps and melted corners that make it feel less like a beehive and more like a dream of one. And then there are the textural pieces. Not focused on shape or form but on feel. Panels covered in repeating knife marks. Cross-hatching. Stippled dots. Rows of scalloped gouges that ripple like fish scales. The pattern may be uniform or it may fall apart in places, growing tighter, looser, deeper. When you run your hand across it, the surface talks back. It catches your skin. It gives resistance, then smoothness. These pieces often look simple from a distance. But up close they hold an entire world of detail. A truly unique wood carving often incorporates what others would discard. A crack. A knot. A rot spot. Instead of cutting around it, the artist leans in. A crack becomes a vein. A knot becomes the center of a spiral. A hole becomes negative space, deliberate and framed. These imperfections aren't hidden. They're highlighted. That's what makes the piece personal. Real. One of a kind. Sometimes uniqueness is found in the tools themselves. Some carvers make their own blades, chisels with non-standard curves, handmade scrapers, curved gouges that let them reach impossible angles. Others use power tools in unorthodox ways. Angle grinders fitted with sculpting attachments. Routers guided freehand instead of with jigs. Even burning tools, pyrography pens, used not to draw images, but to texture entire surfaces with heat. The result isn't chaotic. It's layered, intentional. You can feel that someone tried something new and didn't know exactly how it would turn out. That risk, that willingness to explore, is what gives the design its identity. In some carvings, light is part of the design. Thinly carved panels that let sunlight pass through when held up. Latticed forms with intricate cutouts, mounted on walls so light plays across the surfaces beneath. Some artists carve patterns that only reveal themselves at a certain angle or in certain lighting. Hidden forms, only visible when the light bends just right. These designs aren't just static objects. They're living with the environment. They change. They react. They evolve depending on the time of day, the season, even the weather. Color can also be carved into uniqueness, not with paint, but through techniques like scorching, staining, fuming. A lightly burned surface darkens the grain. Ammonia fuming reacts chemically with tannins in oak, turning it silvery or almost black. These treatments aren't finishes. They're part of the carving process. They follow the grain. They respect the wood's natural movement. A carved spiral that deepens into scorched edges looks ancient, fossilized, like something uncovered rather than made. Sometimes carvings take on a modular form. Multiple pieces that interlock, fit together, or can be rearranged. A series of curved wooden shards, all carved from the same log, sliced, flipped, rotated, then connected in new configurations. Like a wooden puzzle with no fixed solution. This idea of changeable art that isn't finished when it leaves the studio, is a radical concept. But it's happening more and more in the world of carving. Pieces that let the owner become the final artist, deciding how the elements are placed, spaced, displayed. In the world of unique carving, size means nothing. A piece the size of a postcard can hold just as much intention and complexity as one that fills an entire wall. A tiny relief carving of layered waves, sanded to velvet smoothness and oiled to a deep luster, might stop someone in their tracks. Not because it's loud, but because it feels complete, contained. Like it knew exactly what it wanted to be. And yet, some carvers go big. Installations that span entire entryways. Carved wall panels that move with hidden hinges. Sculptural reliefs that climb from floor to ceiling. These pieces are still carvings, but they act like architecture. They shape the room itself. They don't just sit in it. They transform it. Walk past one of these and you'll feel your pace slow. You'll feel drawn toward it even if you can't explain why. That's the power of a design that doesn't follow rules.